right, fight to win 155 main event championship fight. The challenger, Grace Gundrum, versus the champion, Patti Fontes. Let's get into it. The match started off pretty good, pretty quickly. So Grace went down and pulled guard, and Patti immediately went and played with her. Sometimes you see a person pull guard and the other person avoids them and chases them around the mat, and the person on the bottom is butt scooting and there's no interaction, but we didn't have any of that here. Patti went down inside Grace's guard, and it looks like at first she almost passed right away on her left side onto Grace's right side. She got her leg over and she got a cross face. It was looking pretty good, like she was getting it. But then Grace used her left inside hook to elevate Patti and bring her right leg underneath and retain the guard position. And it was in this particular moment that I believe it was the beginning of the end for Patti. May not be the case, it may have changed a little bit, but the reason why I say that is Patti never regained her posture from here. And of course, she could probably pass without regaining her posture, but I think this was a pretty big factor right here. So what happened was Grace used a good job controlling the posture with her hands locked behind Patti's head. And then what she did was she used her legs and moved her legs up top to replace where her hands were, to control the posture behind the neck, behind the head of Patti with her legs. So when I saw this, I kind of I had this feeling, and it sounds kind of different, kind of weird, but I relate a lot of jiu-jitsu movement, and we see it particularly in this 10th planet style, with almost isolating movement to a particular point of the body. So I kind of like popping a zit, and I know that sounds silly, but when you pop a zit, you're isolating pressure to a center point until you pop the zit, or maybe a toothpaste bottle. When you squeeze toothpaste out of a toothpaste tube, you're isolating pressure to the end until it comes out. So Grace isn't isolating pressure, but she's isolating control. And it starts with control around Patti's core. With the guard, she moves it up to the head, and then eventually extends outward into the extremities, the arms of Patti, and she gets the submission. So I know it sounds stupid, but let's see how that looks. So here she is moving her legs up behind the head, and she had this 10th planet style. Again, they have all these names for everything, and I think 10th planet is awesome. I love 10th planet jiu-jitsu. But so I don't know if this is mission control or whatnot, but it's that type of thing where she was controlling the posture and she had her legs locked high. Now, she went into this position called the dead orchard, which was apparently Nathan Orchard's technique that he came up with. Apparently, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but that's how I understand it. And basically, what the dead orchard is a triangle position, but without having a triangle choke. The individual inside your guard has both arms in. So you have your legs locked in a figure four like a triangle, but both arms are inside as well as the head. And normally when people get the Nathan Orchard, the Dead Orchard, is when they go to kind of slither their arm out of the guard, and that's when it gets stuck and locked into a Dead Orchard. But what was neat about what Grace did, and she did it so gracefully, no pun intended, was she moved the arm. You kind of saw her push the arm to the side, and she locked in that Dead Orchard. And that was it, man. It was beautiful. It was smooth. It was technical. And what Patti responded with was she stood up and she started doing a couple slams. And the slamming game was interesting because I saw Grace do something that I wouldn't necessarily do, and that's she hooked over. She did an overhook on the leg. Normally for me, I think that if someone is in my triangle or a dead orchard or whatever, and they pick you up to slam you, I feel more comfortable hooking on the inside. And the reason why is I feel like I get more strength doing that. It's more of a post, like a doorpost to stop them from slamming you. As well as I feel like if I hook on the inside, I get a better angle of bringing my leg around and getting the triangle, or excuse me, getting the arm lock. And she didn't do that here, so I thought that was interesting. But then I thought about it more, and I said, well, that's probably the technique, because if you hook inside and swing your leg around, the head is out of the legs, so it's easier for them to escape the arm lock with the head being out. But with the dead orchard, the head's staying inside the legs the whole time. So it's a different thing, as well as it probably might help preventing Pati from stepping over and trying to escape. Because she did try to do that later on, but before she did that, she did try a couple more slams, and again, Grace defended by having an overhook, not an underhook, which I would have done, but again, with the dead orchard, it's probably better to do an overhook in this particular situation, because it might, and again, I don't know the exact perfection of this technique, but it might also help defend the step over, which Pati tried to do. So she tried to slam her a couple times, and it was at this point that I thought at any moment that external extremity could be tapped, could be exposed and tapped. But she did go for the step over, which is kind of like a basic triangle escape. When you're in the triangle position, you step over and lay back and try to escape that way. And again, Grace with her arm doing the overhook, she blocked it, and Pati, instead of putting her foot back down and staying in a stand-up position, she fell to the ground. And Grace, being connected to Pati via the upper body of behind Pati's neck with her dead orchard connection, all she had to do was post that right hand out and come up on top and just base out and sit. Excuse me. And then that right there, her putting her right hand out, coming up on top, it was beautiful. It's the same motion of standing up in base. You put a hand out, you bring your hips underneath you. She came up and sat there. She wasn't there for long, because what Pati did was she turned to her knees. She created enough momentum, and once she got her second knee down, her body followed, her hips turned to her stomach, and Grace followed. However, that was okay, because Grace was in the perfect position to get that extremity, get that lock. And a lot of times with 10th Planet, you'll see one arm over the other when they finish, and that's exactly what she did. She tapped her with an arm lock over the other arm underneath, and that goes back to the whole pop in the zit idea. It's like she's not pushing pressure to a center point, but she's pushing control from the core with her legs up to behind the head and outward into the extremities, into the arm, to lock it in an arm lock and get the tap. And she did. It was amazing. It was awesome. Pati was a great sport. Everyone's just a great sport. And, Grace, the silent assassin. And she didn't say much, but that's okay. She spoke with her technique, and congratulations to her. She did a great job. And if you've watched this video, I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and thank you so much.